Dog sales training. In this video, I'm gonna go through how to be a top performer if you're in sales. The reason I'm qualified to explain this to you is because I was a top performer for a very, very long time when I was selling cars. Now I'm managing the top Hyundai dealership in Western Canada, and we're absolutely crushing it. I wanted to do this video today because our top sales guy just hit the record for the store, and he hit 34 cars. He actually broke my record, which was 32 for a month. And yeah, he hit 34, so it was a great month for him. And there was a lot of things that he did right, and a lot of things that I did right back in the day when I was selling cars to make sure that I was a top performer consistently. And that's the thing. It's not just about being a top performer one time, because we have a ton of salespeople who actually have like one trophy on their desk or like two trophies on their desk, and they've been here for like, 2.5, 3 years, right? So there are people that can be a top performer, at one point, but then there's a difference between the people who are great top performers, and those are the people who are consistently top performers every single month, versus the people who will get 1 month, in a couple of years, and kind of go up and down and be like a roller coaster, right? So the biggest thing is you want to be consistent in being the top performer. You don't want to just be a top performer once and then go celebrate with your wins and the nice paycheck that you made, and then all of a sudden you're back to the bottom of the pack because you got into a bunch of your old bad habits and you weren't consistent with your efforts and your energy that you're putting in, okay? So the first thing that I put, and this is like probably literally the most important thing if you want to actually be a top performer in your dealership or be a top performer in anything that you're doing in life in general, right? And it's about having the right attitude. So what that means is when you're coming in, you're positively engaged with everything that you're doing. Every customer that you're talking to, you're greeting them with enthusiasm, and you have the right energy, and you just have the right attitude, and you actually believe that there's going to be a good outcome that comes, right? And you're always thinking like, oh, this guy's a buyer, You come into the tower, go to the sales tower, hey, you're with a customer, oh yeah, they're buying. Even if they already threw like 6 objections at you, oh, we just started, this is the first shop, you know what I mean? Oh no, I gotta bring my wife next time, like, whatever excuses and little smoke screens they're giving you right off the bat, you still gotta think like, oh man, you gotta have the attitude like, oh, this person's coming in to buy, right? Like, nobody has enough time in their day, I don't care who it is, to just go to a dealership for fun and just go look at some cars and spend a bunch of time with the salespeople. Like, nobody wants to do that. If somebody comes into the dealership, they are in the market to purchase a car. Like, without a doubt, they are in the market to purchase a car. Whether they buy it off you, whether they buy it off another salesperson, it doesn't really make a difference. And at the end of the day, if you have the right attitude with your approach with that person, and obviously you need to follow up, because look, you're not gonna close every single customer that comes into the showroom the first time you see them, but it's about having the right attitude and giving them such good service that they only wanna deal with you, right? And that's one thing that my sales guy has done really, really well, is he's done a good job of building rapport with his clients. And even when like we're making a ton of money on his client, like, they'll still absolutely love him and want to come in and deal with them and deal with him and send him all their referrals and stuff like that because of how their experience was with the guy, right? And so like, that's what you really need to focus on, is just having the right attitude every single day when you come into the dealership. And just remember that, if you can't close one customer for whatever reason, it's like, you can't let that bring you down and sink you down to a lower level than where you're at, right? And that's about just getting your mentality and getting your attitude in check every single day. And I mean, if that starts with watching some type of motivational video in the morning, listening to David Goggins and getting pumped up, like, do whatever you gotta do. And if you can start your day by just priming your brain, that's what it is, right? You're priming your brain. And that's why every single morning, and like, I listen to either motivational stuff or like an audiobook like every single morning. And it's like one of the first things I do, and I'm journaling positive affirmations. And what it is it's priming my brain to get into the right attitude, to just have the right mindset before you even go into your day, right? Because, anybody that's watching this, if you guys are in sales, like you guys know how hard sales is. Like there's nothing easy about sales. So that's the first thing, most important thing is having the right attitude, okay? The second part I put is go the extra mile, right? So you gotta go the extra mile for your customers, go the extra mile for your team, go the extra mile with the hours that you put in and the energy and effort that you put in every single day. If you wanna be a top performer, you have to go the extra mile. You're not gonna be a top performer if you're just working your scheduled shift. If you're scheduled from 9 to 5 p.m. and you're like, oh, it's 5 o'clock, see you later. Like, I'm telling you right now, you're not gonna be a top performer. That's not how it's gonna work. And that means you don't got what it takes, right? Because if you're not willing to put in that extra effort and go that extra mile, and like, look, going that extra mile, like for your customers and stuff like that too, like that's really the biggest thing because they're gonna remember those things. If you go the extra mile for your customer and if they have a discrepancy or an issue with something and you get it taken care of right away because you're willing to go the extra mile and you're willing to take care of that customer, or even sometimes if you got to go the extra mile, and I've done this many times too, is at the end of the month, if your customer doesn't want to come in, but you got to get the paperwork done to hit a bonus or something like that, go the extra mile and take the paperwork to their house, right? If they already agreed on the financing options, then go get everything signed, boom, bring it back, boom, I hit my bonus. Now I'm laughing, right? That's part of going the extra mile for your customers. So like these are the kind of things that are super important, and this is what's going to separate you from the pack, is going that extra mile with every single thing that you do every single day that you come into the dealership. Go the extra mile for your leads. Make sure you're contacting them and harassing them until they tell you to F off, right? That's what we want. The worst thing we want is a customer saying, oh man, I'm not getting called, nobody's contacting me, or I walked into the showroom and nobody helped me. Those are literally the worst reviews. I absolutely hate responding to those reviews because we seem like a bunch of amateurs who aren't professionals and don't know what we're doing, right? So just go that extra mile for your customers if you want to be a top performer, okay? Third one I put, so it's just being coachable, right? So like my sales guy who just hit 34 cars this month, when he first started, like he came from another dealership and like when he came in, we had a completely different process. He didn't know anything. He already had some little bit of experience, but he just understood that like, hey man, these guys operate a certain way and I'm just gonna make sure that I fit into the mold of the machine that they already have, right? Because we were already doing really well. Our team's always absolutely crushing it. Like I said, we're literally the top Hyundai dealership in Western Canada. Within our Kaizen Automotive group, which is a big dealership group with a ton of dealerships, like we're usually in the top two. And like this month we were the number one, like in so many aspects. And we're an import store, right? With Hyundais. So like we don't have a lot of margins. So like we always find a way to make sure that our team is successful and everybody's making money. And anyways, let's get a little off track with that, but he was being coachable. So I just remember even like the first time that, he had a customer and he wanted me to come in and close the deal for him. Like I came in, I closed the deal for him. He listened to everything I was saying and he's slowly been able to mold himself and turn into the best version of himself. And now he's a top performer. But when he started his first, I would say even like 5 or 6 months, like I wasn't even sure if he was still gonna be working with us, right? It took him a little bit extra time, but eventually because he was coachable, and he didn't think like, oh, my other dealership, they did it like this, and I always did it like this. He didn't think like that, right? He was open-minded and he was coachable. And he was like, okay, if you're gonna tell me how to do this, and this is what works over here, then I'm gonna listen and I'm gonna apply what you're telling me, right? So that's part of being coachable. So last one I put, and I put a couple stars beside it, is you have to be disciplined. You have to be disciplined in your daily regiment in terms of what you're doing when you're at the dealership, right? Obviously, if you can have a strong, routine outside of the dealership, you're eating clean, you're not drinking and partying on the weekends, you're working out, you're working on your mindset all the time, like you're trying to constantly learn and train and improve your skills. Like those kind of things, if you're disciplined with that, it's gonna make a massive difference. But at the end of the day, when you're in the dealership, you have to be disciplined. Okay, I get a lead, I'm disciplined with how I'm contacting that lead, right? 3 points of contact. I'm texting, I'm emailing, I'm calling, you know? If they don't answer, I'm gonna be calling them again. You know, if you get a lead and you had to call them 3 times in a day because they didn't answer, like they inquired about a car, which means they wanna get contacted. Anytime, have you ever inquired about something and, you know, it's like the whole point of you inquiring about something is I want somebody to call me right away. I want somebody to contact me and help me. Like I'm asking for help. Guys, I'm trying to buy something. I need help. Can you help me, please? Basically is what it is, right? So it's being disciplined in those daily actions when you come in. And that is you got to really focus on that. It's just being disciplined. Okay, I got to make X amount of calls today. I got to follow up with all my customers from yesterday. I got to, you know, make sure that these upset customers are taken care of right away, right? I got to make sure that, you know, my team is on point. I got to make sure that I'm well groomed. I'm disciplined with how I come into the dealership and how I present myself to customers. I'm disciplined with my attitude. I'm having the right attitude when I come into the dealership. So these are the things that are the most important, okay? So if you want to be a top performer, start by having the right attitude. Make sure you go the extra mile in literally everything that you do. Be coachable and be disciplined in what you're doing every single day when you're in the car dealership. I hope you guys can get some value out of this video. Hit the like button, put a little comment for me, please, if you could, and hit subscribe, follow for more.